How are you?
Good. How'd you make it through the storm?
Tough one. One thing I will say, safest place to be during an earthquake is in Paul Pavilion because we didn't feel anything. So in the afternoon we had a walk through and we were inside a basketball court. So someone told us after we came out that there was a earthquake up in Oahu. That we did not feel it in Paul. So
Did you have any of the out-of-state guys that were maybe scared or at the thought of an earthquake or anything like that?
we didn't even really talk about it because we didn't even feel it. So no one felt it. So.
I think it's fair to say we're kind of in the dog days of training camp now. How have these guys responded, their energy? And
these guys have been great. So I would say, and I know what you're talking about, that it is the dog days, but they haven't acted like it's the dog days. They're out here every day competing. I think they understand our schedule and how we undulate the training effect, like the practices, times like that. We're doing it in 4-day blocks with a day off in between. And they've been really good at it. So we got another 4-day block coming up here. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that'll be the last 4 days of training camp. So.
You mentioned something last week about aiming for running backs that are kind of Deshaun size. What makes that kind of the ideal frame for you with running backs?
I just think, that your ability to either A, make a person miss, or B, run through a tackle, is the biggest mark of a running back is you can't go down at the first unblocked guy, so it's rare that you can find a guy that just makes him miss all the time. So you're going to have to be a physical guy that's going to have to get his pads down and run through arm tackles. And, Zach was a prime example of that. Josh Kelly was a great example of that. Britton Brown was really that type of downhill running back. And they understand, and in our system and our schemes is that we're looking for downhill guys that are going to run, get behind their pads, and be able to run through arm tackles. And that's obviously what TJ's really good at it, Carson's really good at it, Colson and Anthony are really good at it. So that's kind of always been our mindset is those type of guys. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a smaller guy and he can make people miss all the time, you'll take that too. But I think the bigger backs are, they're also a little bit more durable, just because you're going to get tackled, and you're going to get hit because they're handing the ball to you. So, I think from a durability standpoint, I think it helps also to have a guy that's got a little bit of size back then.
Did you start at
Nerves of steel.
started looking at postal with these?
Yeah,
guys?
we looked at with our players now, but we've already broken down our first three opponents last spring as a coaching staff. So right now we're still in camp, and we'll get into game week starting after Friday's practice.
When you look at Coastal, obviously they've got the experienced quarterback and his top three receivers. So what have you seen just based on the experience?
A lot of weapons. The difficult thing with Coastal and going into this game is it's a brand new coaching staff. So, new head coach, new coordinators at defense and special teams. Jimmy Chadwell was the head coach. He's left and got to Liberty and took his entire staff with him. So it's the personnel is the same. And I think Grayson McCall is one of the top returning quarterbacks in college football. I think his numbers may be the all-time best, something like 75 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in his career, or something to that effect. He's an outstanding football player. So, I would imagine, and Tim Beck's, a lot of people understand and know what Tim is. I think he's an offensive coach and an offensive coordinator at a lot of really good schools. Tim knows how to use a quarterback. So we would anticipate, Grayson being used, both his arm and his leg, because he has the ability to beat with both. He's a tremendous runner, but he's also is one of the all-time accurate passers in NCAA history. So.
When you're studying a team that has a new coaching staff, how far down the rabbit hole do you go with studying film of like the different coaches at their previous stops?
Well, the good thing is it's the opener, so it's not 1 week in,
right?
Where so you do have more time to devote to that. We've had an entire off season to be able to do that, so you can go pretty far down the rabbit hole, and then you just have to be sound in your approach in terms of where you are. It's not something like, well, on this play, we know they're going to run the ball left, so we're going to put 11 guys on the left side of the field, and then they run the ball right, and there's no one left there. We're still going to be sound in our approach, and you have to defend the whole width and depth of the field. But knowing that the quarterback, you have to be really conscious when you have a kid like a Grayson that you're facing, is that he can really make a lot of plays with his feet. So we have to be really disciplined in our rush lanes and have to make sure we're really concerned with. So you understand the personnel and his abilities, how they're going to actually deploy them. We'll see for the first time on the second.
When you're game planning, do you have to be kind of careful not to overthink it when you got access to that much film to kind of see all these different schemes and whatnot?
I think so. But some of what we do, but it's not what the coach knows, it's what the players know. So I think maybe it's good for the coaches to overthink it, but how much do you give to the players is really the secret sauce. So you're not handcuffing them and having them play slow, but there's obviously challenges when you face a team that has first-year coaches, because you don't have that history to go back off of. If you're going to open up with a known opponent, if we were going to open up with someone that we'd played like a Cal, well, Justin's been there for the same amount of time we've been here. We have 6 years in going against Cal, and you'd have an understanding. But he has a new offensive coordinator this year, so offensively it would be different, but defensively you'd have a decent feel for what they're going to do. But everybody usually has a new tweak or something in the game plan that you have to be able to prepare for and adjust to during the course of the game, and that's nothing different than week 1 than week 7. They may bring out a new blitz that you hadn't seen in the first 6 weeks, but you got to be able to be sound enough in your scheme to be able to pick it up or have an answer for it.
What do you do to help the new players to learn the playbook? Because the reason I asked was, like Carson was saying, I'm not going to lie, it's actually hard to learn a lot of stuff. What can you do to help the newcomers kind of learn?
I think that's done on an individual basis and understanding their learning styles. Are they visual learners, auditory learners, or kinesthetic learners? Some guys learn better through walkthrough, some guys learn better from film room, some guys learn better from just one-on-ones with their coaches. So I think each individual coach tries to really dig deep on the learning style that's most conducive to that player, and then try to spend time with them during that part of it. A lot of it comes back for the feedback from the players. Are the players comfortable enough to share with you of what they do know and what they don't know? Sometimes if you're a new kid, you can nod your head and say, I got it, because I don't want coach to know I don't have it, because that may affect me on the depth chart. And really, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for in our check for understandings to make sure that the education is the transportation of knowledge, is that our coaches are transporting the knowledge to our players, because it's what our players know, not what our coaches know, because our coaches are playing. So there's a lot of give and take and feedback between our players and their coaches in their meeting rooms, and then on the field. A lot of times more of the question isn't just telling what they did right or wrong, is asking them, what did you see and why did you do what you did, and then explaining it from a different perspective and a different set of eyes, so that they can see kind of how we want them to see it. So I think there's a lot of give and take, but I think that's the one thing about this coaching staff, is I think they're really, really good teachers, and they spend a lot of time, and we set aside a lot of time to prepare for our meetings, and our coaches do a really good job.
Anything in particular you're still trying to get at, still want to see from this group as this final?
Yeah, we want to improve every day. I'm never going to come out here and say, you know what, guys, we got it. This is it. This last practice was good. We locked it up. We got this thing down. I think it's a daily improvement in everything. We're like most people, skills are built, not born. And every day we're developing our skills, whether they're learning skills in the classroom, whether they're an individual physical skill in terms of how to run a route, or how to do a little better job of the pass set, knowledge of scheme and things like that. So every day if we can be a little bit better today than we were the last time we were out on the training field, then we're moving in a forward progression. That's what I'm trying to get. And there's never, hey, we got this part down, but let's really focus and concentrate on that. There's always that, and then every day our training sessions are all situational. So there's red zone work, there's third down work, there's coming out work, there's 4-minute puck, there's 2-minute work, and that varies depending on the amount of time that you have to devote to it during a game. Like how many snaps of third and short do you practice in a practice when it's going to occur 5 times in a game? Out of 65 plays, what is that percentage? So we work it out during the course of a training camp, that however many third and shorts we're going to face in a game should be the percentage of time we practice third short, practice safe for me. Good, guys? All right, guys.